Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. Want to thank everybody as usual for checking us out. Episode number 61. Man, it's been a journey for this since November of 2020, actually. November of 2020 is when we kicked it off. And man, we've had a plethora of guests from all over the country and Canada as well. And we're gonna keep it rolling with another good show tonight. Got a good lineup of coaches. Man, my first coach is my guy right here. When I say I'm proud of this one right here, this is a hometown connection. So for you people that don't know, I'm proud to say it. Pittsburgh's coaching tree is long and extensive. I can go to a number of schools all over the country, post-grads, JUCOs, 4-year schools all over the place. And not knowing a lot of times, people are from Pittsburgh. And, with Dre being right here, I'll go ahead and bring him in. This is the assistant coach from Clayton State University. This is my guy. I'm so proud of him. Andre Anthony, how you doing today, brother?
Hey, my guy, man, my guy. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Man, I'm good, man. And, I'm always a pleasure to have you on the show, man. You, Coach A, when Coach Roscoe was there, man, I communicate with all you guys on a regular basis. So, I'm a Clayton State supporter, man. I'm a Peach Belt supporter. I'm a D2 supporter. I'm a D3 NAI. And, that's something we're going to talk about tonight, man, just how big and important and underrated D2 basketball is, man. People don't understand what Coach A and staff have over there at Clayton State, where they got that silent clip, and people gonna have to understand, you all are up and coming. And one thing that kind of bothers me a lot is, people get the misunderstanding that, well, I'm going to give Clayton State my 9th or 10th best player. Audience, your 9th or 10th best player is not good enough to play at Clayton State. I don't care who you are. They're just not. You got to understand they have D1 drop downs. They have EYBL players. They have some really good talent there. And the misconception that, you're going to give Coach Anthony your bottom of the barrel guy, you're sorely mistaken. And they're putting guys overseas. So that speaks volumes of the talent they have there. So, man, we wanted to touch on that, man. We want to talk about the roster, but we're going to talk about how underrated D2 basketball is. So let's start with the Peach Belt because, you were with Coach A when he was at USC Aiken. And, man, just let people know how deep the Peach Belt is, man.
Man, Peach Belt is tough. I mean, it's a league that, every team in the league can beat you on any given night. And I was in the league some odd years ago, a little bit under 10 years ago. So I'm not too far removed from it. The league has changed as far as like teams. When I was in the league, it was, Montevallo, UNC Pembroke was still in the league. But you still have these juggernauts in Augusta, USC Aiken. These teams in the league, man, they're talented. They're talented. Like you said, I would put them up against any Division II league in the country. As far as talent, and as well as coaches. There are some great coaches in this league. Some guys that really know their stuff and know how to get out and get kids. And I think it says a lot about just the region as a whole. There's a lot of good basketball in the Southeast, particularly in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida as well. So it's tough. It's tough. When I was in the league, it was probably, one of the better leagues in the country. And as far as the competition across the board, I think the biggest difference between the Peach Belt and a lower Division I is just bigs, because the guard play is pretty much relative.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you just brought that up. A lot of people have the understanding, oh, well, I'm just going to go D2 and go kill. Man, and let's touch on that, man, please. And listen, before we touch on that, this is not to knock anybody's game. It's just to give the understanding that you're not just going to come to the Peach Belt and put up 35 because you didn't go D1.
No way. Oh, I think that's a misconception, not only in the Peach Belt, but just for Division II basketball as a whole.
Yeah,
A lot of people, student athletes as well as parents, they just don't. It's not advertised, unless you're
yeah,
going out and going to go see your local Division IIs. And if you're in an area like, where we are in Atlanta, it's you can go see Clark, you can go see Morehouse, you can come to
mhm,
a Clayton State game, and you can see the level of competition and the talent that's in the gym. But most people have no idea, the level of competition at Division II. I mean, our smallest guy is 6 foot. He's our point guard, and
yeah.
he's probably one of the most skilled players in the country. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but by no means is it just a walk in the park where you just say, "Hey, I'm signing up for basketball today. I want to join the team." It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, this is not intramurals by no stretch of the
No
imagination. This
way.
is not intramurals. And just to touch on, man, the Peach Belt sends a number of kids overseas to play professionally. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh man, I mean, like I said, the league is full of talented guys, talented players. I know from our program standpoint, and at least from our head coaches standpoint, Coach Alexander, he's put 35 plus players over the course of the 11 years he was in this league. So, if you do the right thing and you play well, you put up solid stats, you'll have a chance to play somewhere. It maybe not be the top league, obviously, because there's a totem pole in regards to overseas basketball and getting your foot in the door. But if you do well in the Peach Belt, you got an opportunity to play after college and make some decent money and get your foot in the door.
Absolutely, man. And with the teams that are in the Peach Belt, like you said, you got Columbus State, you got Augusta, you got Clayton State, you got USC Aiken. Yes, Pembroke was in the league, but they went to Conference of Carolinas now. You had Montevallo before they went to, I think, the Gulf South. They went to the Gulf South,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, the teams are still loaded. You have Flagler. Gosh, next year you're going to have a new member in USC Beaufort, down in South Carolina. And it's going to be, you got North Georgia as well. I can't forget, Adam up in North Georgia. It's some good ball there, man. And people, you got Young Harris, which is the high academic school. And like you said, you can't take a night off in the Peach Belt or
No,
you'll mess around and come home mad because you lost.
no. I mean, and even in my experience as a player in the Peach Belt Conference, it there was never an easy game. No
Yeah.
matter what the rankings are and the standings are,
Mhm.
there was never an easy game. So you better be preparing. As a coach and as a player, you better be preparing. You better be in the gym. You better be taking care of your body, because every Wednesday and Saturday is going to be a battle. It's going to be a
Mhm.
battle. So that's the one thing that I can appreciate about this league and just the quality of competition. I don't think it gets any better.
And so one of the things, you know, we talk a lot, but what people don't understand, like even on the D2 level, the skill development part is integral, because a lot of times you're getting guys, that come in as a freshman. Well, it's a shock to their system, especially you high school guys. It's going to take some time for you guys to develop. Sometimes you're going to need to redshirt a year. Sometimes it's going to take a year plus, sometimes 2, 3 years for you to develop to be able to play meaningful minutes. And that is not a knock for anybody that's watching this show. That's the way college basketball is. You come in as a 17 or 18-year-old kid, sometimes you're playing 23 and 24-year-old men. And,
Yes.
that's an adjustment in itself right there. let alone the league. But you're getting used to these guys have been lifting for the last 4 or 5 years.
Right,
These guys are
right.
used to a system. They have tricks of the trade to get baskets that you have no idea. They know how to play in a rough and tumble league. So you're coming from high school, and to be honest, I don't care if it's 7A here in Georgia, it's going to be an adjustment at the end of the day. Because these guys, like you say, when you talk about Brian Coffey, like he can go. He can
Oh,
go. You're just
oh,
not going to come here and be like, oh, I'm going to give Brian Coffey buckets.
no.
No. That's not going to happen. And
No.
again, I think one of the best quotes I see on Twitter, and I love when I see it, it says, if you're D1, you're a dog. If you're D2, you're a dog. If you're D3, you're a dog. If you're NAI, you're a dog. And if you're JUCO. Basically, what they're pretty much mimicking is saying whatever level you're at, if you're playing college basketball, you're doing something right. And if you're
Yep.
doing something right, be proud of that, no matter what the level is, man, because there's D3 guys that are going overseas. There's NAI guys that are going overseas. If that is what your goal is, you got to put up numbers no matter what the level is and be productive. It's not, I got to go to Syracuse. I got to go to Georgia Tech. I got to go to Pitt. I got to go to Georgetown. I got to go to a Power Five to mean that's the only way I'm going overseas. Well, if you go to that Power Five and you're not playing, the likeliness of that is very low,
Yeah.
close to
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah. And that's, I think, I think that's the hardest part for people to get past is just understanding like I can go to a Division 2 or Division 3 or NAI. I can still make it to where I want to go. My route might be a little different. It may
Yeah,
be a little bit more difficult, but if I put in the right work and connect with the right people, I'll get an opportunity. And going to those bigger schools, not saying that that's a bad thing. That doesn't always guarantee you success. Post college, and um, that's showing now even with the portal. Like there's just guys that they're coming from everywhere. I mean, we have Power Five guys coming down to our level. Um, so it's really, I think it's really starting to become about fit, right? Become about
yeah,
fit, and really getting an opportunity to play, and you got to think about, I tell young kids all the time, when they're going through the recruiting process, that they got to really think about what is important to them, what matters to them. Okay, if you're a gym rat, if you want to be a pro, player development. What does that look like in that program? Are they a program that is heavy into player development? If not, maybe that's not the right fit for you. But if that's not something that you value, then you can all make that decision based on other factors. But you just got to do your research. You got to do your research because the name doesn't always determine the end results.
yeah,
And surely it's up to the individual as well. You got to have that hunger and that desire, and you got to dominate where you are as well. Because often we're so worried about looking ahead and trying to. I want to go overseas. I want to get to the NBA, and it's like you have to dominate. Where you are and maximize the time that you're at that institution. So, I just hope young guys, and if anybody's listening right now, or anybody that I come across, I try to give them that genuine advice.
man, and I couldn't agree with you more, man, because one of the things you said it best is it's the fit, man. And with it being the fit, your fit may be a D3 or an NAI, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people look at it like, oh my gosh, a D2 is not taking me. I must be sorry. No, you're not. There's some really good, especially in the Peach Belt. My goodness, I can't say that enough. Augusta went to the national championship this
Right.
year. So you have to understand when you're talking Peach Belt, PSAC, Lone Star, MIAA, the California League. There's so many good leagues. Michigan's D2 league,
Yep.
Wisconsin's D2 league. There's some really good teams. And to your point, a lot of those guys have D1 experience.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
like, which leads right into our next segment, man. Like, let's talk about your roster. Like, people don't understand, like, you got a 6'11" guy starting at center, man. I mean, and he's not
Yeah,
no pushover. You got some
yeah,
6'7" and 6'8" guys that are wings.
yeah,
That's D1 size. So when you look at Clayton State, it's not like you're like, oh, this is some 6'4" and under team. Nah, you got a number of really good players. And I understand, yes, height is not everything, but when you look at the eye test, you'll be like, man, they're just as big as Georgia State, basically. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've really put a lot of work into getting on the road and um, going out and getting some quality kids and making sure that we got the right kids that fit our system and fit our program. To go with the guys that we got coming back, obviously, coming back, we had the big fella, Jalen Shaw, 6'10", 250. Can do it all. He's really more skilled than a lot of people know. He can put it on the floor. He's one of those kids that kind of late. He was a late bloomer and grew later down the line throughout his career, and he has a lot of skills that honestly that is going to translate. Not only at our level but on the next level. As long as he's putting that work in, we're very
Absolutely.
fortunate to have some Atlanta kids, particularly Brian Coffey. He's one of the I'd say probably the best players to come out of Gwinnett County. Um, in the last 5 years, he's one of those guys that he's a winner. He works hard, super super skilled. Obviously got him from a D1, but he's really embraced the leadership role, and he's really helped our culture and our program. We're moving in the right direction because of guys or kids like him. Um, and then we signed an EYBL kid from Louisiana, Bryce Wymanson, who's pretty good. Kind of underrated, but just hard nosed, tough kid that just gets it done, man. Just gets it done, and we've been really pleased with how our guys have been. The last couple of weeks of getting going with preseason. Um, just been excited, man, because the guys are coming to work, and we'll be ready. We'll be ready this year. We'll be ready.
I agree. Definitely, you'll be ready. So the guy you had a guy from last year that went overseas, correct? Is getting
Yes,
ready to sign.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And who was that again?
So we have actually two
Okay.
guys. 6'6", Xavier Womack, he signed over in Europe, and then Ricardo Lynch, 6'8" guard. He's had a lot of interest. Some things have fallen through because of the climate with Russia, but I expect him to sign somewhere in the next couple of weeks, moving into September. So we're really big on trying to get our guys good situations where they can grow. Don't want to really send them over somewhere where the living conditions are bad, or where the quality of living isn't good. So they're working hard. They're putting in the work. Actually, they came back on campus, and it was good to see them a couple weeks ago. And they had a pretty big summer, so they'll be ready. We have some guys that's going to be ready, and we hope to continue to push those guys out every year, as many as we can. Obviously, that's not always the reality, but we want to try to help guys, not only just basketball, but in life in general. Our other
Yeah.
kid, he, that we had that graduated, he's he has a federal job in information technology with the government. So, we're pushing our guys forward, whether it's basketball or, just a career path in life in general. So,
And that's big, man. And I just want to reiterate that, like, you had a senior that graduated, he did his 4 years, he used up his eligibility, and now he's moving on in life with a federal job. And, in the IT field, in the federal sector, it's a nice paying job, man. And Clayton State is known for that IT sector, correct?
Yeah. Yes. We have a number of our guys in our program that are either studying the computer engineering component or venturing off into the IT information technology component of that computer engineering program. So, our guys, when they come here to go to school, we don't, we're not just advertising basketball. We want them to come here and get an education, take advantage of the resources, and get the most out of this experience, because it's a benefit to be in Atlanta and have access to, uh, you know, companies and opportunities. I don't think there's anything like it. So when you come to our institution, or you're in our program, we give our guys the opportunity to grow outside of basketball, and to be exposed to a lot more than it would in most places, because in my opinion, a lot of Division twos are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Especially in PA. Coming from PA to PSAC, great basketball, but
Yeah.
it's not there's no access to really any major cities, without having to drive an hour and 20 or an hour and 30, and that's tough, in the
Yeah.
wintertime with the snow, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And man, the other thing I wanted to touch on, man, let's talk about what's a day in the life of a Clayton State student athlete, man. What's the expectation? Are they getting up, going straight to practice? Are they going to class? What's the expectation, man?
man, so our guys, they are, we try to give them the freedom, to become those guys that are self-motivated, and those guys that don't have to be forced to, to do things that we want them to do. But a regular day, you know, for the majority of our guys, some of our guys will come in at 6 a.m. For player-led workouts. Coaches aren't really around for that, but some of our guys will come in for those early workouts. Then we'll have a breakfast table at 8 a.m., where we get all our guys together and we eat as a team in the
Mm-hmm.
morning. Because some of our guys, we know that they'll go throughout the day without eating, and, that affects practice, and, that affects everything that we do. So we got to make sure that, our guys are eating. So we'll do that. And then, some more guys will come in the gym and get some individual work in. Um, then we might throw in, depending on what day it is, they'll lift weights. So they'll lift weights 3 days a week, around that time. And then we'll go into practice depending on the time of the year. So like right now, we don't have, the full hours. We don't have the 20 hours yet, but, we're making the most out of the time that we do have, getting our guys together, practicing, and, just going through some skill development, and really just trying to get after it and learn some more about each other and try to come together and build that connection. So that's what it looks like. And on top of that, getting their 5 hours of study hall.
Okay.
Every student athlete that in our program that doesn't have a 3-2
Mhm.
is required to do 5 hours of study hall per
Okay.
week. And if you're under a certain GPA, you may have to do more. So it just helps our guys get organized, and it helps them, stay accountable, and helps us hold them accountable, as well. So, like I said, we want our guys to be great in the classroom, and off the court. So that's big for us.
Okay. Okay. And we've talked about this, briefly in the past. Like, the one thing I like about Clayton State, like you guys actually push, like if their aspirations are to go overseas, you guys try and use your connections. And if they're not, their aspirations are, I'm looking for another job, or, I'm looking for my first job, excuse me. It's a situation where, you're reaching out to your network in Atlanta, you're reaching out to your job placement services there at Clayton State to make sure they get every ample opportunity to be successful once they rock across the stage.
Yep, and that's again, that's just exhausting every avenue during this experience, because it's a short amount of time. You get 365 days in a year. You don't even get that many games in 4 years. You may be lucky to play 120 games in 4 years in your career. So, we got to maximize. We got to maximize and make sure our guys are really taking advantage of the opportunity. Because we know it's a special opportunity. It's a special situation to be in. I tell any kid that I come across, even if they're not playing for me or for us, it takes everything. It takes everything, literally everything, every single day. And you got to take advantage of that opportunity in that moment, because the time will pass. And the worst thing that can happen is you look back and you have regrets about what you did with that time. So I try to get them to understand that time and how precious it is, and give them little plays on how to execute it. Hopefully better than I did.
Yeah, and man, and that's another thing we always talk about. Especially for back home, our hometown. Like, we always want to reach back and give back to make the process a little smoother than the way we encountered it. You know what I mean? And I think
Right.
that's really important, because I look at this and, there's a lot of parents, there's a lot of players that have no knowledge of navigating this whole recruitment process. And sometimes that may end up losing some potential offers because of that, man. And as we say, knowledge is power. You have to research this whole thing. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions, asking coaches, asking analysts, whoever it may be, asking your high school coach to get some type of knowledge. And now, with the way Twitter is, there's forums, there's spaces, there's a lot of ways you can get up to speed on your recruitment process. And one thing I tell kids 100 times over: listen, if the D1s aren't recruiting you, go to the ones that are giving you love, that are
Yes.
actively recruiting you. Because when you're out here soliciting D1s and they're kind of blowing you off, or they may respond and say, yeah, well, no, we'll take a look when we get a chance. And a lot of these kids are holding hope to say, well, he responded, so he must want me. And listen, if he's not in some type of constant contact with you, they don't want you. It's the cold hard reality of this. And again, there's nothing wrong with going D2, D3, NAI. Even if you have to go JUCO to, refine your game, that's fine as well, man. And people just don't get it, man. Playing college basketball is an honest to goodness privilege, man. And with it
Yeah.
being a privilege, a lot of these kids take it for granted. They'll be like, oh, well, if I go D2, I'm going to go to Clayton State for a year. I'm going to kill, then I'm going to hit the portal. Well, as we talked about a number of times, 55% of those kids in the portal went unclaimed.
Yeah.
Unclaimed, bro. And with
Yeah.
them going unclaimed, that's a problem. So you got 55%, and it was what? Almost between D1 through D3 was right at 3,000. Right
Wow.
at 3,000 this year. And that doesn't include post grad, that doesn't include JUCO, that doesn't include NAI players,
NAIA.
that doesn't include international players. So if you lump all of them together, you're probably talking about 4,500 plus to 5,000.
A lot of
And
numbers.
yeah, it's a lot of numbers, man. And when people start to realize when it's August and they don't have any offers, now they're getting desperate. Now they're, coach, is there anything I can do? I'll walk on. I'll do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're like, I'm sorry, man. We already got what we need for the year, unfortunately. So now the kid is in panic mode, so they're willing to go anywhere into any situation. If a school calls, a lot of times they're looking for practice players.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes they're looking for JV players as well. And it's just one of those things where people have to understand when you get that opportunity, sometimes as a player, you may not have the luxury to wait until February, March, April. Like if you get that offer in November, in December or October, jump on it. And I'm not here to pressure anybody, but if you don't have a top 7 or top 10, you got 2 schools that offer, bro, you need to offer. I mean, you need to accept one of those and say, this is what it is. I'm going to figure out this. I'm going to take my 2 visits. I'm going to see what school's the best fit for me. I'm going to make my decision because you may say, okay, coach, I'm ready. It's February. Oh, man, we moved on.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow as well, man.
Yeah, and that's just the pressure. I feel like, that's the pressure of society today for a lot of these young kids.
Yeah.
And, it's tough. I didn't experience it. You didn't experience it. But somewhere we got to find, or they have to find, the right wisdom, to follow, because there's a lot of kids that I see that they're making these decisions, and it's not wise. It's not wise and it's not calculated.
Hey man, I did this on purpose because you family. Clayton State got a new person coming on staff to help out, and she's my next guest. So, I had to bring the family on as well. It made sense to only bring on somebody that'll be helping out Clayton State. And it was so ironic that, her son was there at the camp, and she played Superwoman and jumped out there to help the kid out with a bad shoulder. And sometimes opportunities turn into one thing, and then one thing turns into the next. It's my comrade right here, Dr. Hasler. How you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. And we always talk about sports medicine. And with us talking about sports medicine, we're just talking about the incident that happened at Clayton State, and you were there to perform that magic that you normally perform. And
I honestly was trying to be in mom mode. You can ask Coach. I was like, trying to stay out of the way. I didn't come to work today.
Yeah,
didn't work out like that.
She was
amazing.
Hey,
but listen, your reputation follows itself because you got to talking afterwards, and Dre called me like, man, I know you know that. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, she's good. He was like, yeah, man, yeah. And one thing leads to another, and as we always talk about, this right here, the 3 of us, this is a network. At the end of the day, this is a network. Like Dre, we talk continuous, and we talk on a regular basis, and we talk even more now that the season's getting ready to kick off as well.
Correct.
And people have to understand that to get somewhere in life, sometimes it takes me knowing Dre to get to you, or me knowing you to get to Dre. And it's always, hey, I know somebody that may be able to help you. And man, as Dre, we talked about, it's always trying to reach back. It's also about using your network sometime to reach back as well.
Definitely.
And
It's a special thing to be a part of, to be around, folks like yourselves. And, I'm appreciative, really appreciative.
Brother, we're appreciative of you, man. You out here hustling. And that's the other thing, man, I just wanted to touch as I'm, wrapping it up with you. Like, my discontent a lot of times, and this is not to call out any school, like I saw you all summer at events. I see you putting in that work. We have some schools that are not of D1 status. Man, we may see them once in the spring and maybe once during high school live period, if we're lucky. And I said, how are you going to get good if you're not perfecting your craft? And recruiting is part of your craft, man. And, sometimes that's a gripe in the Atlanta basketball community, but nobody can say that about Clayton State. Man, I saw you just as much as I was out there. You know what I mean? Or we're texting each other like, where you at? I said, oh, I'm at this event. Or you're like, oh, I'm at this event. And then if we're at different events, the next question is, how's it looking over there? I'm like, oh, man. You might want to come here, or I see this kid, I saw that kid, and vice versa. You're telling me, hey, man, this one's pretty good. There's some good talent. And coaches, I'm not calling no coach out or no school out. Get out here to be seen, because these kids pay attention to these coaches being out on a regular basis. So when they're making those introductions, I'm Coach Anthony from Clayton State. First thing out their mouth, I saw you on the radar. Saw you at high school live period. I saw you at the JUCO, the JUCO showcase, whatever the case may be. And, that's one of those things that's so important, man. And man, as we wrap up, man, I'm so proud of you, bro. I tell people all the time, man, I'm so proud to see what you're doing, man. You're moving up the ranks. Coach A believes in you. I believe in you. Everybody back home believes in you, bro. Just keep doing your thing, man. Just keep doing your thing.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, Dave. And, I just want to shout out my guys, man. Coach A and Coach Roscoe, man. Coach Roscoe, got his new gig going to Wisconsin and Madison College, going to do big things. I learned a lot from those guys. And, I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful just to be here, man. I'm grateful to be here and be in the presence with y'all. So,
man, definitely, man.
Let's just keep it going. Let's just keep this thing going. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that go without saying, man.
One thing I wanted to say, Dave, before Coach goes, is like they run a really good camp.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
It's in and out, but I think they can really go in and evaluate quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated that. I wanted to tell you guys that.
Thank you.
And you guys made the guys feel included. Like they show them around the building, and they clapped them up and they celebrated them. So I thought that was really cool. I just wanted to tell you that before you go.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And then you asked me something when we talked earlier about prep and sleep. So make sure Coach asked me about that.
Yeah, I need that for some of my guys. They'll be tuning in. So and I'll either give them the replay because I don't think they understand how important sleep is. They're young right now, so
yeah, they want to stay up late
all night.
Yeah.
Stay up late. But one thing to remember too is that a lot of these kids, especially if you're getting new kids, they're coming off of this COVID break.
Right.
So you got homeschool environments and online environments where you can stay up all night, do your homework, and then sleep a little bit instead of getting up for an 8 o'clock class. You can sleep a little bit and then show up for practice later in the day. So it seems like that was a long time ago, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's still not really a long time ago. They didn't wipe that out. It's hard to ensure. People say 8 hours of sleep. It's hard to make sure it's exactly 8 hours of sleep, given the class load and the workout, you got meal table, you got study hall, and you have all these other things. 6 to 8 is good, 6 to 8 hours a day, but making sure that they're consistent about it, that they schedule it in. They don't just wait until they happen to be sleepy. Start doing things that prepare you mentally to go to bed. Turn the iPhone off, turn the iWatch off. There's all these other things that keep you up. Cancel those things.
You think that would be a good thing for the preseason regimen to what Dre's talking about? So, of course, to get the rest, they're working out usually right now, 8 hours up until October 15th. So right now you would really recommend to get as much sleep as you can, even during the season as well. But for preseason conditioning, that's just as important as workouts, right?
Oh, definitely. When you're looking at preseason, I don't know that sleep is part of the schedule. Just like oftentimes people don't include the medical in their thought process when they plan events. They don't think about we need medical coverage when we do this kind of event, this kind of camp, this kind of whatever it is, a showcase, it's a tournament. Unless it's sanctioned, they're not going to really think about it. But it's something you need to include in everything. Right now, the schedule. Using a planner. I get up every day by this time. If it's a late day, late workout, still get up at 8 o'clock. So your body's in the routine of it. If you happen to, take a nap midday, that's different. But your body knows to get up at a certain time. Then it'll know to go to bed at a certain time. You had a question, Dave?
Oh, no. I was just going to say definitely. No,
it's putting you on a schedule,
Okay.
When do I eat? Do I eat when I'm hungry, or do I eat when I need to eat?
Right.
The body, and especially when you guys start playing games preseason and you're traveling time zones, all that affects sleep. Well, if your sleep is off, your digestive system is off, your mood is off, your focus is off, you need so-and-so to be ready for the game. If they're not rested, some kids aren't ready early in the morning.
Right.
You know, if you go somewhere and you switch 2 or 3 time zones, their body might think it's morning, but it might be 7 p.m.
So you're saying basically from, yes, you need a sleep schedule, but basically you're basically telling me that the team needs a schedule to eat as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's breakfast time, right? Go back old school, elementary school. You got, well, they don't have recess anymore, but they really don't. That's what made me want to homeschool my kid. I was like, my kid needs recess. You're not going to label him without giving him recess first. But yeah, you got at first period, you do this, then we walk outside, and then we have recess, then we have lunch at this time. And then a lot of that stuff has changed. And so you just kind of eat when you're hungry, eat if you're in the mood. You're not fueling your body. Right. So that when you're doing workouts and you're gassed, why are you gassed? Sometimes it's sleep, sometimes it's fuel. Sometimes it's a combination of both. But you won't know until you really get on a routine. So you got to track your system.
Okay.
If you go and the trainer comes in or the team doc comes in to check in, you know, on training room days, hey, let me check the kids out. What's going on with so-and-so? If they don't have a routine, they won't know that something's off.
Right.
I like that. And, you know, that's one of those things. So is that going to be something you do as part of Sports Factory to write out a nutrition plan as well as what you do?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We have people that I refer to for meal prep. Shoot, I don't cook. I mean, I do cook. Well, you know, like Thanksgiving, I'll cook everything. And then I just, you know, even if it's just me, I'll cook everything because I just want everything that I have growing up. But you know, I have meal prep, you know, people and they're medical professionals, so they can make adjustments if there are health concerns, allergies, and you know, weight loss, weight gain, things like that. So in smaller schools, you won't have as many of those resources because the staff isn't as big. Sometimes, you know, based on the sports medicine setup, they have relationships where they can go out and refer you to so-and-so, or you have community partners who want to come in and support the program. And so they'll come in and make those recommendations. But like in a D1, a big D1, all that's laid out for them.
Yes.
Right. So in a smaller school, that's where communication is important between the administration, the coaching staff, sports medicine staff, so that all of that's taken care
of. Okay. So you need basically the sleep schedule, you need the
life schedule,
the life schedule, and then basically now this is your expertise as to getting loose and, you know, all the other calisthenics part that's your area. So that helps prevent some of these injuries that are nagging a lot of times.
Oh yeah. Again, everything needs to be scheduled out. And that's hard for people. It's just really hard. Now, once you work out, you know, you need to stretch, but there's some stretching before. A lot of people get off the court, they go shower and they leave. If they shower, they just leave. They just leave. You know what that smells like.
Yes.
We know
yes. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a very specific smell. And that's male and female. It's very specific. And they just leave the court and they don't stretch. And then, you know, they come in slow. All right, coach said practice at 11. They walk in at 10:50. And you do these 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go. What? Like,
no way.
That's not what that is. So stretching is important, but body work is also important.
How long, Erin?
For a court sport,
let's just say, like Dre's having practice at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. when should they come in and start stretching? Maybe 30
It's a
minutes
person by
before?
person thing. So as a team, at least 10 minutes, you know, but you're not coming in cold. Most gyms are AC, you know, so you got to get hot. You got to jog a little bit, get some blood flow, and then stretch 10 minutes. 10 minutes is good. But then you have some athletes that need more. And those ones that need more, they have to know they need more, and they have to do it early. Right. So if coach says, you know, practice at 10, we do warm up, you need to come in a little early. 20, 30 minutes early, jog, run the stairs, do whatever you need to do, get blood flow going. You stretch a little bit, and then you do team stretch. Right. But I think that's part of the problem in sports, team sports, is you think I don't have to do it until team time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's a
so,
good point.
So separating yourself is really important. Knowing your body is really, really important. But 10 minutes as a team stretch isn't bad. But that's a dynamic combo, dynamic and static stretching.
And to your point, if it's somebody that has the nagging hamstring or something to that extent, they definitely need to get there 20, 30 minutes beforehand.
Oh, you coming in an hour before to get treatment. You know, you got to go to the training room. Okay. And then they say, you know, where the limitations are. But that's communication. A lot of times athletes, especially ones that haven't been exposed to a sports medicine program, maybe from a high school, a small area or something, they come in and don't communicate. Oh, don't worry about it. I know I'll put some Tiger Balm on and keep it to myself. you know, they got some KT tape from the store and they just try to put it on, you know, things like that. That's, they need to be able to communicate, and that protects everyone. That protects the athlete. The athletic trainer is able to advocate, you know, and set up a good protocol for them, but it also protects the coach. Right. Because coach doesn't get paid unless, you know, we keep some records going. So, you know, everything's connected.
So let me ask you this. What's your take on cryotherapy?
I don't use a lot of cold.
Okay.
But some things are I use cold for pain. Like if they're in pain, let's shut it down. Right. But if they're not in severe pain, I'm not really messing with it. I look at it like a car in the wintertime. You got to let the engine warm up. Right? The blood has to flow. And I do a lot of Eastern medicine in my practice. So if the chi isn't moving, if the blood life force isn't moving, you get injuries, you get, you know, ailments, illnesses, because it's not flushing out. It's not moving along. And so if you're cold, blood's not going to move.
Okay. You know? Now, since it's still particularly warm here in Atlanta and Houston, where you came from, how do we prevent the dehydration? How do we prevent the cramps? Because, you know, that's this time of year.
I got some tricks in my pocket. I ain't, you know. But the big thing is to stay ahead of it. Okay. You know, most cramps don't happen till like the game is really close. And you're like, man, I need him to stay in the game. Like, I don't need him to come out of the game. It's fourth quarter or second half, and it's looking really close. And then you got your guy that's been playing hard the whole time, or the girl that's been playing the whole time. Stay ahead of it. You know, you have a game. We start drinking the night before. You know, you keep your fluids up. Something with an electrolyte base to it. Gatorade with the lower sugar, zeros, and the lower sugar version of Gatorade is always good. And I go back and forth between that and water. People think like bottled water is cool, but bottled water has no sodium. And so my background is biology. So the science part of it is wherever salt goes, water goes. Salt goes out, water goes out. You can put water in, but if there's no salt there, it won't stay. So you end up drinking bottled water all day and you still flush out and then you still cramp up. Okay. So on those days, you know, pregame, you got some eggs. It's okay to put a little salt on the eggs. It's fine. You know.
What about the energy bars?
Just really looking at the sugar content is important. That's going to be a really big thing. And there are some protein limits at the collegiate level. How much protein they can ingest and who can give it to them. If it's coming from the trainer, that's one thing. If it's coming from the athletic trainer on the medical side, it's one thing. If it's coming from strength and conditioning, then you have some other limitations. And they set up the rooms, the snack room with all the stuff in it. That it varies what they look like at different levels, D1, 2, 3, and big school, small school, whatever the budget is, basically. Some schools feed them all day, but they get the muscle milk and the Gatorade.
Yeah.
All those kind of supplements. You really have to look at your protein counts, because there are some limitations based on drug testing protocols.
So if I wanted to get this knowledge from the Sports Factory, how can I do that? Do you have it set up to where they can look at this online, or do they come in and set an appointment? How can they get a hold of?
Well, as I'm transitioning to Atlanta as a base, more of a base than Houston. I mean, I'm still in both markets, but as I'm transitioning here, I'll be doing a lot more digital content. Okay. But I still do see private clients. So honestly, just sportsfactory.com, and there's a contact link, and we'll be updating the logos, changing. I'm flushing the whole system out. Got new logo, new content, new location, new approach. So all those things are available through the website.
Okay.
Did I answer your question about your sleep stuff, Coach?
Yes.
Did I tell you about traveling though?
Thank you.
The thing about traveling is to make sure you're setting the alarm clock for the place you're going. Like, kind of set your watch to the place you're going, which is hard because we do a lot with automatic Wi-Fi, digital phones. So it sets automatically when you get there. Like the old school phone, you can control.
Right.
If you're switching and you're on an iPhone or an Android, when you get there, the phone's going to automatically switch to the new time zone.
Right.
But the night before would probably be good, or a day before, it'd probably be good for you to reset before you get there. So you're already thinking that way.
Awesome.
Because the stomach won't adjust. The stomach's going to be on whatever time zone you came from.
Well, when they're traveling.
What'd you say?
I said, I wish I would have had you when I was in college.
Man, that's a hard thing. When I was traveling overseas, the last time I went on a international trip, it was what? I want to say it was like 17 hours away. But 17, it was a 17-hour away trip. And I couldn't understand why my stomach was upset, like in the middle of the day. My body kept thinking it was sleeping. Your food processes while you sleep. And all day my stomach would be upset, and I couldn't figure it out. And it didn't reset until like day 6. Like, it was a 17-day long trip. So it did eventually adjust, but then I had a hard time shifting back. But you set it for where you're going, and a lot of these college basketball teams are doing overseas trips. So that's something to consider.
Right.
So how early should they get there in order to adjust?
Oh, we went a few days before, but my body still it didn't want to go. And I was so exhausted during the day. I mean, was it during the day? It would just be weird. It took time for my body to just make the adjustment. And so that's just something to consider. There's some apps that'll allow you to type in and say, hey, this is where I'm going. And it'll say, hey, this is what time you go to bed.
Okay. Okay.
So something to consider.
Let me ask this as well. And I always ask these questions out of curiosity. So as you have this sleep plan, you have this meal plan, you have a stretching plan. So is all this the same for preseason, or does it change as you get in season?
No, well, your preseason is prep for in season. It's not, hey, I'm going to do this in the fall, and then I'm going to change it when the season starts. Everything you do is in preparation for your outcome, which is in April.
Okay.
Right? Everyone wants to make it to the first weekend in April.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Absolutely, yeah.
So you prep now. And prep the same way every day.
And that's what I was getting ready to ask. Okay.
Every day. On the weekend, you still get up. You tired to take a nap, but set your body so that it's getting up.
The same time as you were saying before, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think off day is off. I can sleep. But 15 hours straight, and then you have a hard time the next day trying to get back into a regular rhythm. So,
and that's what I wanted to ask, because we know college students. We know some college students, sometimes they let off a little steam. They're going to go out and hang out till 1, 2 o'clock.
The ones that especially are legal.
Yes, exactly. So what ends up happening? So how do you readjust, so to speak? Because, a lot of times, and listen, I was guilty of it as well. You stay out to 1, 2 o'clock. You don't have practice Saturday morning, so you sleep until 11,
whenever.
12. Yeah, whenever, because it's kind of like your free day.
But okay, so let me ask you this: how far did you go in the sport?
College. I mean,
beyond that?
No.
Right.
Not beyond that. No.
Okay, but how did you do at that level? Were you always
I did fine.
Always, every single time.
I mean, there was inconsistencies. Definitely, there was inconsistencies. Sure. Sometimes I wouldn't attest that to. Well, I can't even say it was whether it was to diet or sleep, because to be honest, I wasn't getting any sleep in college.
well, I went to school in Atlanta, so I know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so you understand what I'm saying. So yes, you're making this schedule, and all I'm saying is, when you're making a schedule, I would have to assume that there has to be somewhere to make up for the cheat days, so to speak.
Well, I mean, you can make an adjustment, but there should be a guideline. Like if your normal wake up time is 8 o'clock, then on your off day, it shouldn't be 2 p.m., 3 p.m. You know, it shouldn't. You should, because you want to keep the body in the same routine. Mm-hmm. It's a machine, so you have to treat it like that.
Okay.
And then it's okay. You can let it make an adjustment. But 9 times out of 10, if you did that cheat day and you lean into the cheat day and really lean into it, it's really hard to come off of the cheat day when you have 2 cheat days.
That's true. Sometimes that party will make you cheat the next day. Hey, both of y'all know what I'm talking about. That party will make you cheat next day.
I know where I went to school. It's party all day, every day.
Exactly. And, I want to continue to have these type of conversations, because, quite honestly, yes, we talk basketball. Like Dre and I talk basketball all day, every day. But to your point of what you're saying is, nobody talks nutrition, so to speak. Nobody talks getting the proper rest. Nobody talks, like, yes, the coaches may, glance over, like, listen, you need to get some sleep. But the importance of all of that, to where, where we're at right now, because you're trying to maximize, your output, especially on the court. And, Dre, as well, in the Peach Belt, man, it's one shot a difference that could have you in second place or sixth place. That's the same. Our next guest with Coach Richey, Oglethorpe, my gosh, on the men's side, they were right there against Barry to go to the NCAA tournament. And they're right there. And like you said, when you start to think, what could I have done to, possibly help out and maximize my potential? These are some of the things that may need to happen. But unfortunately, no college kid is thinking that, unless they have an incredible sports medicine staff that is continuously on an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old. Now, they're not thinking like this. And, now we're to the point where sports are so, it's down to people are focusing on one sport so much. This is a big thing as well, even in high school. Nobody talks about it in high school or middle school. It shouldn't be when you get to college, okay, this is your first time experiencing this, correct?
Right.
But of course, there's some 7A schools. Yeah, but there's some 7A schools that have sports medicine here and there, but it's not a regular thing. And it's something that, I understand there's budgets, especially on the public high school level. Some of the private schools, they're amazing. They got a little bit of everything. They got everything.
They
But
do,
for
but
public
there's
school,
still some gaps. There's always
yes,
going to be a gap. Even at a D1, you're going to have gaps because the ratio athletic trainer to player is always going to be off.
Yeah.
Right. You can never have enough hands available to get to every player. You just won't.
Understood.
You just won't. And so it's up to the athlete.
So what would you suggest to a program that doesn't have the resources? What would you suggest that, staff, the coaching staff do, or whoever's available do to navigate?
That's communication. That's communication between the coaching staff and the sports medicine staff. Because you as the coaching professional, you don't want to overstep. Right. You don't want to step into a place that's not your area, but you also don't want to undermine, the progress that the athletes can make. So simple conversations. Hey, everybody calls me Doc, but hey, so-and-so, athletic trainer, we're getting on the road on these days. What do you suggest we need to have when we're planning our meals? Because in a smaller school, you have to do it or the athletic trainers are doing the meals, right? So what are the things we need to do there so that we can pick the right kinds of foods, not stopping at Popeyes all the time or Bone Jagels. And I'm not knocking any of them, but that's what's available, at 11 o'clock when you get out of the game at night. And they don't want Subway. They don't want, lunch meat sandwiches and things at the end of the game. So what can we do so we can prep? That's a simple conversation. And then brainstorming so you can budget that out. Like I said, getting a meal prep company isn't hard. Nowadays, back in the day, you couldn't do it. Now you can because they're everywhere. Find a local company that doesn't mind doing that. Get them in on the vendor list. Maybe they'll donate. Right. Maybe a corporate sponsor can donate that. That would be that's food, right? Then you talk about sleep. Okay, hey, these are the kind of hotels that are in our budget. Let's look them up. Which ones have paper thin walls? Which ones have, those are just things you don't think about.
True. That's true.
Because when I'm trying to sleep and then on the other side of that double door half suite thing, you can hear them against the other side of the wall. And, or is there a way for us to isolate our team on one floor in one end of the hallway so we can communicate? We can do snacks. We can do the cooler with snacks and all that. You can have your own meal room, or meal table, team table. You can do that. It's just communication and it's just planning. And a lot of people, just like they don't plan on having an athletic trainer at a showcase or at a camp, they don't think about it until something happens.
Listen, I want to thank both of you all because, ever since we've connected, Erin, when we start talking sports medicine, I met you through our network, shout out to OB, my guy. But it's just one of those things where this stuff is so important. And, Dre and I talk pretty much almost every day. And yes, we're talking basketball, but, it's going to come to a time where, hey, would it make sense for you to write out a preseason and postseason plan? And since they don't have the resources to have you there every day, would it make sense to say, okay, here's a plan your team needs to follow for preseason, going into postseason, or going into regular season and going into postseason? Wouldn't that make sense for you to have a plan like that, even if that's the case?
That's part of what Sports Factory is. It's not just a one-on-one. It's supporting programs. It's coming in and you don't have a sports medicine program. Hey, let me show you how to set one up. That's my thing. That's my favorite thing to do. Hey, there's not enough plugs on this side of the wall. Wait a minute, it's not. I love all that kind of stuff. So definitely that's. All of those are in my wheelhouse, and that's part of the packaging that I have for them. So,
and that's why you come on here every 2 weeks.
Thank you. And I appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your your viewers and your listeners. So
no, we appreciate you, Dre, brother. It's all love, man. It's hometown love. Just seeing you move up, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'll be there to support as usual. I know I'll see Erin there this year as well. So, man, I'm just looking forward to it, man. Yeah, go ahead and stick your head in. It'll be much appreciated. Much appreciated. But listen, for you two, I appreciate it. We can sit up here and talk all day, but I got my next guest. I want to get him on and talk about his program as well. We'll be talking real soon, both of you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys take care. Coach. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Man, two of my favorite people right there. I could talk to both of them all day, and I learned just by listening. I learned from both of them, and I'm a big fan of both of them. So they will always have a home on the show. Next guest, man, I'm so glad to really catch up. I was again introduced to him through a network from the men's coach, and they were like, "Hey, you really need to get up with the women's coach. He does a great job." And we met up, and we've been texting back and forth for a while, and I'm honored to have him on the show. Our next guest is Coach Alex Richey from Oglethorpe University on the women's side. How you doing today, Coach?
David, man, thanks for having me. I'm super. I can't thank you enough for being flexible. It was a crazy first day of school.
I understand. That was not a problem at all
day, man. Loved your last two presenters and your speakers, and the other thing that you guys were talking about that we're having to deal with so much in our world and realm now is just the mental health aspect.
Man,
these
absolutely,
athletes, man. We could talk for hours on that. So we're all being educated with all the things that these young people are going through, the stresses they face on a day-to-day basis. But man, just to she was super impressive. I'm going to have to follow up with her on some of the things that she's doing to put these kids in position to be successful. Because at the end of the day, that's all that we want.
Yeah, she's awesome. And again, as I was saying earlier before you came on, I met her through another coach. Another coach was like, "Hey, she's moving to Atlanta. She's awesome. This, that, and the other." And she's got here, and now she's making a name for herself already. And man, as you can see, sometimes it's just the small things that coming on the podcast, and you see her. Coach Anthony saw her because her son played in their elite camp, and it was a situation where a guy got hurt, and she popped right on it, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, who is this?" And that's how opportunities are. Networking is available, and I think she's awesome. She's going to be very good here in Atlanta, very good, and probably very well sought after too.
Right. And the world is so small in our basketball community, and man, I've just heard and followed some great things that you've done for my good friend and colleague Will Long, and
my buddy.
There's not better guys than Will, and just an absolute workhorse, and man, he's just become a great friend and colleague, and a great young basketball mind too. So I'm glad he was able to connect us and get us together here, and
definitely,
just excited to be a part of your podcast tonight.
And so, one of the big things is, I spoke about this, but I can definitely speak with it proudly about you. Sometimes my gripes with smaller schools is, Georgia is a hotbed on the girls' side as well as the women's side. So one of my gripes is sometimes we don't see the smaller schools at events, whether it be D2, D3, NAI, and we got the girls' high school live period. We have some great AAU events here. And I can say with pride, Coach Richey is at those events. Trust me, he is there. We're texting back and forth at was that War Games we were at?
War Games and then high school live, man.
And at high school again. You were like on court 1 and I was on court 7. I said, "What court you at, Coach?" I'm on court 7. I'm on court 1. I'm looking at the 16U game because I saw an amazing young lady. Oh my goodness, she's going to 8th grade and she played 16U.
Wow. Yeah, I mean it's tremendous. It's a huge benefit to be a small school in Atlanta from a coach's perspective, because there's so much talent that even passes through the city. So,
Yes.
I know my wife's really happy with the fact that I can come home and potentially tuck the boys in. We got 2 little ones under the age of 3, so I can tuck my little boys in and then go hit the gym and then head out for that next day and sleep in my own bed and do all those types of things. But it's super important to have a supportive wife in this business. So we're gone a lot and we're in the gym a lot. But I started my career. I went to work corporate world for about 8 months. And Phil Ponder, who's the head men's coach at Oglethorpe, who I played for, called me and asked me to get back in the gym. And I took a 75% pay cut to get into college coaching, and haven't looked back. And it was the best decision I ever made because, I get to watch basketball for a living. I don't tell people that it's I work hard, but it's not a job, guys. I mean, it's I get to watch basketball for a living. I get to watch and be around great kids, great people, meet great folks like yourself. I mean, it's a huge blessing. I'm living a dream.
So let me ask you this: I know Oglethorpe on the men's side, they play on Sundays. Do you guys play on Sundays as well?
Yeah, so our conference schedule is Friday, Sunday, which is great. So we avoid a lot of missed class time for these high academic kids, and that's super important because we want our kids to graduate in 4 years. We boast in our program that in the 9 years I've been the head coach, we've got 100% graduation rate for kids that have finished their eligibility with me, and that's their goal and aspiration, to be a doctor or be an attorney or start a business. And so we've got some great young alums that are doing some awesome stuff. Some in Atlanta, some in the Southeast, some all over the country. So it's a great little small school, an awesome environment, and I better give a plug. Like, we play double headers with our men. It's a awesome and free. Who doesn't like free entertainment? Come out and catch a game in Brookhaven. Really good level ball. These kids were the best high school players on their teams, all region kids, all state kids, and they can really play. So, a great way for you to come out, and always feel free to shoot me an email if you're able to catch a game. We'll take care of you, and would love for anybody listening to the pod to come out and support some good local talent.
Oh, definitely. You say no more. Well, like when Coach Long told me you guys play on Sunday, I told him, I'll be there this year. I'll be at the scores table this year because, I wanted to cover the games because I wanted to give D3 basketball some more. Like, yes, I went to the D3 tournament last year, but I wanted to expand this year. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yep. And it was
Coach Zimmerman's done a fantastic job.
Yes, he has.
Awesome program. We've been good buddies for a real long time since my playing days, and golly, what he's done right across the street has been fantastic, and brought a lot of national notoriety on the men's side. And so there's a little crosstown rivalry between our programs, but
do you guys get to play each other?
We play each other on both the men's and women's side once a year. Usually it's like a home and home split. So this year Emory's women will come to us. Our men and Emory's men will play, I think, at Oglethorpe as well this year. So, but both those individuals in Emory, Misha Jackson and Coach Zimmerman, they run their programs first class as well. So it's all love, other than when we're competing with each other for those couple hours, but they do a great job.
So let me ask you this for the people that don't know. Tell us a little bit about your roster that you have coming in this year. How many newcomers and how many returners do you have coming?
Yeah, so we're going to be a fairly young group. We had a really great run of success leading up to the world changing with COVID. We'd been top 25 for 5 years in a row, won multiple conference championships. We reached up to number 4 in the country, and we were 29-1 in the 2019-2020 season, preparing to play in the
COVID, 29. Wow.
Yeah,
man.
So we'd won 27 in a row, and we were with a team that we felt like could potentially win the last game of the season, which is what our program's goal is. And unfortunately, the good man above had different plans for us, and we, our tournament was called off, and we went home and didn't see each other for nearly 12 months. And, it was very, very difficult to have that happen. I'm, a fairly personable guy, to not see my great young women I get to work with on a day-to-day basis was a very big life change. But, it just allowed us to grow in different ways, continue to progress as a program. But we have a lot of roster turnover from that group. And now we're going to be extremely young this year. We'll have no seniors on the roster. We've got three great junior leaders that we're excited about. We'll return 6 sophomores and we'll have 6 freshmen on the roster. So no seniors, but a fairly young team. And, fortunately enough for us last year, although our record wouldn't say to it, we played some really good basketball at the end of the season, got hot late, and we're a game away from going back to the NCAA tournament again, with a lot of young kids getting a lot of big roles and playing time. So we had our first team meeting actually today to conclude, the first day of school. And I saw every one of our kids in one capacity, whether they were getting shots up or lifting weights and all that type of stuff. And as the head coach of a program, to see all of your kids on that first day just voluntarily coming in and putting the work in to get better, I'm really excited about, where we are as a program, and really think we can get back to that national level and national recognition like we'd seen prior to the pandemic.
So let me ask this, especially with Oglethorpe being high academic, what's a typical day for an Oglethorpe student athlete, especially on the women's side? What's a typical day for a young lady on your team?
We personally avoid a lot of commitments for the student athletes in the mornings. We want them to focus on their academics, go to their classes, attend, and thrive in that environment because they're being challenged academically, of course. I've got a number of kids that want to go pre-med and do those type of things, which, if they're going to be a doctor, I want them to be the best doctor. If they're going to go operate on you, they're going to operate on me. I want them to be really good. So they definitely challenge themselves in an academic setting that is extremely, important for their, perspectives of the future. So, typically we get, if we're going to do anything, we'll get started around lunchtime, whether we're doing lifting programs or stretching programs or anything like that to keep them healthy and in shape for what we hope to be a great year. And then when our classes conclude, when labs conclude, typically we can practice around 4, 5 in the early evening. And that's close to our typical game time of like a 6 p.m. tip off, which I think is important to have that kind of continuity on a day-to-day basis. And so a typical day for them, they're spending a number of hours in their classes, spending a number of hours in the gym. But we have a lot of intrinsically motivated kids that are self-motivated to be the best they can be. And they're extremely focused, which I love about our levels. There's a great balance. They don't get burnt out to the level of a Division I or Division II athlete that has a scholarship pressure hanging over their head on a day-to-day basis. These kids are playing for the love of the game. They're extremely talented, but they really can balance their academic commitments and their athletic commitments at the same time.
Now, here's one thing, and I'm glad you just brought that up, especially with their academic commitments. In general, they have Oglethorpe kids usually get a nice little internship their junior year, right?
Right. So the university makes a commitment that every kid that goes to Oglethorpe will either have an internship or study abroad before they graduate. Wow. And that can depend, they could do it as early as their freshman year. If they know what they want to do and they want to pursue it, they can jump right in. We have a great career service center, and, our alumni basis, although it's small, it's very prominent. So we have some kids doing some really incredible things, whether it's research or, getting great jobs or getting great internships that lead to jobs, after they graduate. And that's fantastic. We had a young lady that just graduated playing for us, and she was actually a Division I transfer and came back and finished her career playing for us. She was with us for 2.5 seasons. Fantastic player, fantastic person, and she immediately went to work for Deloitte right after she graduated. So
that's big, yeah.
For them to get out into the workforce so successfully and set a good precedent for what the future of our program will look like is an example that I'll be able to talk about for years to come.
Yeah, especially getting a job at a Big Five, that speaks a lot. You're getting a Big Five job. I know I was fortunate to work at one, and it's an experience. It's definitely an experience you'll never forget. Definitely.
She's definitely working her tail off. I know that, but she worked her tail off in the gym.
That's an understatement. Yes, you will.
So I know she's used to putting the work in, and that kid is just going to be extremely successful. And she's just one story of a number of kids that we've had that we couldn't be more proud of.
So, and that's one of the things I'm glad you mentioned it as well, is your alumni. You know, people don't really take that into consideration a lot when they're going on these recruiting visits. And, you know, whether it's a D3, D2, that alumni is important for you to see as a parent to say, hey, this is a prominent alumni. So, you know, your student athlete or your student period can reach out to the alumni and get some really good, you know, information or advice. Or like you said, intern as well. You know, there's some great programs at Oglethorpe that a lot of people don't realize. You know, yes, it's a small school, but it's a very good high academic school as well.
Oh, for sure. So, you know, we have a 3-2 dual degree engineering program that partners with Georgia Tech, which is a top 10 engineering program in the country. You know, we had a 4-year all conference point guard that played for me that immediately went to Georgia Tech, finished her dual degree program, and she's working at a fantastic civil structural firm, you know, in the suburbs of Atlanta now, making a great living. That is still really tied into our program. And every time I have a recruit that talks about our engineering program, you know, she's the first phone call to call that kid and help, you know, sell our program to the next generation. So we're fortunate enough now that we have a number of kids that are thriving after having a great career playing for us. And so we keep them involved and connected. And, you know, we tell people all the time, when you come play for Oglethorpe, this is a 40-year commitment, not the next 4.
Absolutely. I like that. I definitely like that. So for the people that don't know the conference that you play in, can we talk a little bit more about the conference that you play in?
Yeah, really great league. We're playing the SAA. 8 schools, all very like-minded academically. I tell people all the time, if you're getting recruited by the schools in our league, you've set yourself up really well from getting a great education. Only one other school in state with Berry College in Rome. And then a lot of really cool travel built into our just conference schedule each year. We do a travel trip to Memphis and just outside of Little Rock, Arkansas, with Rhodes College in Memphis and Hendrix College, which is in Conway, a suburb of Little Rock. Millsaps College. Yep. Millsaps College is in Jackson, Mississippi. Birmingham Southern, obviously, in Birmingham. And then we have another partner trip with the University of South Sewanee, which is just south of Nashville. And then Center College, which is the premier academic institution in the state of Kentucky. And that's and I'm giving them some recruiting help there when I say that. But I love Coach Wendy, who's a great friend of mine at Center College, and Coach Mason on the men's side, who's done a fantastic job there too. But Center College, a great school in Danville, Kentucky, which is just east of Lexington.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, for the people that don't know, it's basically all those schools you mentioned are high academic institutions as well.
Yeah.
I've been to Birmingham Southern before, and that's, you know, it's a nice campus as well. But all of those schools are, like you said, if you get accepted to those schools, you're setting yourself up really well. Yeah. Really well.
I'm a little biased about one. I am a little bit biased about one in that league, but you know, really across the board, like a lot of really good like-minded coaches who care about their kids. You know, we all compete against each other, but at the end of the day, like, especially on the women's side in our league, the relationships that we've all built with one another, it's pretty unique to still consider these folks friends, even though we're, you know, recruiting the same kids and competing against each other. It's bigger than ball sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, we're setting examples for young people, and we want to compete and be competitive and all that type of stuff. But we got to remember that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all trying to serve our kids and provide them the best opportunities that we can.
Now, here's a question, just out of curiosity. Have you ever had a young lady that had an opportunity to play professionally overseas?
Yeah, we've had probably 3 or 4 kids that have had the inquiry during our time, and all of them were fantastic kids. But for one reason or another, they decided to pursue kind of that next phase of their lives. We had a young lady I'm still very close with. I played for us, Division I transfer. Actually went to the same high school as me, and she still kind of pursues some semi-pro stuff in town and the AEBL stuff, which is great because that's But she would have had the opportunity to go overseas if she so wanted to do that. Her body, she had an ACL injury, and that inhibited her. And at the end of the day, she's an entrepreneurial spirit and has gone to work for herself and started in a really good profession. And it's hard to turn down those guaranteed paychecks and opportunities to make great money. But she still got love for the game, served on our coaching staff for a year, and just couldn't be more proud of that kid. So again, another story of a young lady who was in our program that took the game to the next level and used basketball as a vessel to be successful in the next phase of her life.
And I wanted to mention that because, I wanted to dispel that misconception of, you got to be D1 or you got to be D2. Like, you have those opportunities on the D3 level if you produce. And it's not about, she has to score 25 points a game or 20 points a game. It's not the case. It's depending on what the fit is. Like, you can have a 6'1" big averaging 10 points and 14 rebounds, and they could get some inquiries like that as well.
Well, David, our best teams that we've ever had, we've had probably 6 or 7 kids average between 7 and 13 points. And what we try to tell people in our program is, the player of the year in our league, which we've had multiple times, the player of the year in our league does not come from the 4th place team. You have to win to get accolades.
Yeah.
All-Americans, the kids that we've had that have been All-Americans, they were All-Americans because they were on really good teams.
Really good teams.
And they were willing to sacrifice some of their statistics to win. If you win, the accolades will come. But again, we've had great players on, when I first got the job, we had a kid that was arguably the best player in the league, but, she didn't get a nod to be the player of the year in the league because we're in 4th place. I mean, the best player on the best team is going to trump out if their statistics, even if their statistics may not be the best. And that's, to me, what it should be. If you're the best player on the best team, then you're extremely valuable. You're irreplaceable. So when they do that MVP voting every year in the league, in the WNBA, the NBA, I don't think anybody who's not in the playoffs is probably going to get a nod to be the MVP of the league. But to me, that's how it should be.
I definitely agree. It definitely should be like that. And, one of the other questions, and I have to ask this because it's true to my heart. And I know since you're out there, I want people that are watching this to understand what type of kid, when you're out at these events, whether it be high school live period or war games or whatever the case may be, what type of kid do you recruit to Oglethorpe? Is it a defensive-minded kid? Is it an offensive-minded kid? What is it that in your mind says, that young lady is an Oglethorpe prospect?
I think it's a combination of everything. I think at the end of the day, what I've learned in my profession is players make the coach. And so we don't really lock into one style or system. I just say, okay, this kid is going to make an absolute difference if she comes into our program. And we may have to change some of the things that we do on the offensive side. We may have to change some things that we do on the defensive side in order to put our kids in the best position to be successful. And to be locked into one style of play, that can really limit how you want to recruit. So in my viewpoint, I'm going to target kids that I think play hard all the time. That if we're looking for a specific skill set like shooting, or we need athleticism or length to enhance our roster, those are things that we'll target. But at the same time, the intangible aspects are things that set kids apart to me. How good of a teammate you are. Do you listen to your coach? Do you put the extra effort in outside of practice? Or am I going to have to beg you to get into the gym out of the season? How much do you love it? How much do you love your teammates? What would your teammates say about you? What would your coaches say about you? And so we try to ask those, prodding questions to get to know kids the best that we can. Every kid that we recruit is extremely strong in the classroom, which is great because when they get to campus, I never have to worry about them going to class. I never have to worry about how they're going to succeed in that arena. But again, we're on some very, very high caliber athletes to attend a school in a great neighborhood here in Atlanta. And we've landed some really, really great players that had opportunities to play Division I, that had opportunities to play Division II. And whether it be a relationship they developed with their future teammates, our coaching staff, our location itself, the academic acumen of the university, that's allowed us to really develop our program to one of the best in the country. But it also credit back to it's all a credit back to the kids. We've got great young women that are in our program, and we do that year in and year out. Again, I don't get late night phone calls on disciplinary issues. I don't have to hold anybody's hand for them to go to class. The culture has been set for a number of years now, and I'm just excited about the group that we have this year that we get to work with. Because again, I pinch myself every day that I get to work in a gym. I get to wear a t-shirt and shorts and get out there and help these people achieve their goals.
So, what type of defense do you play? Because this is going to lead into my next question.
Right. So when our program made major steps in its growth process was when we really reemphasized our defensive identity. We're going to pressure, play pressure man, play pressure zone. We're willing to switch up things that we do based upon a scout. And just have a lot of different weapons in our bag. But we want to influence the game with our defense and our rebounding. That's when we've been at our best. We want to control the glass. And what we want to do is we know that we're going to recruit kids that can put the ball in the basket. But our goal to our kids is, hey, sacrifice, put yourself in a situation to play so hard on the defensive end that, you can get consecutive stops in a row to build a mini runs throughout the game. And if we can get 3 or 4 mini runs in a game, it's over. So we do a lot of different things defensively. I don't want to sell all my secrets on what we're going to do this year, but I've got a group that's going to be very athletic that can do a lot of different things. And we're going to hopefully enhance some things that we've been able to do in the past that have led to some success and tweak some things to allow us to be successful moving forward. But those things take time. They take trust. They take hard effort, and work. And again, I think I've got a great group that really wants to buy into that.
So, which leads to my last question. Yep. How important is for that incoming freshman to know the defensive shell drill principles?
Definitely. And we've got a bunch of really high IQ kids. We've recruited them from high school programs. We've got a young lady who played for Jan Azar at Hebron this year. First time we've got one of Jan's players, and we're excited about her. And I've got my third player from Coach Cates' program at Cherokee, who's going to be, a special piece to the puzzle for us. Coach Chris at Pace has sent over a young lady for us for the first time. And, she played and coached at Virginia Tech. So I would assume that the young lady she sent our way is going to have a pretty high basketball IQ that we're excited about. But really across the board, all of our freshmen, there's going to be a learning process that they have. My job is to just shorten that learning curve as best we can, because I can assure you that we're going to have a number of freshmen that contribute on our team this year. And as I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you come in and earn playing time in our program, you will play right away. And so we've had the newcomer of the league in my 9 years, going into my 9th year this year. We've had the newcomer of the league in the league 5 times. And so, the roles are available for freshmen if they come into our program and they earn their playing time. And I think that's another proof in the pudding point that we talk to recruits about, because kids want to play, and I know I can't play everybody, and it's a challenge to keep everybody happy who's the best player on their team all the time, but you've got to manage those egos in order to put everything aside for the good of the team. And fortunately enough, when you win, that certainly cures anything that may come your way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Coach Richey, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I know we've been trying to get this together for a while, and
Right.
it was an honor to have you on, man. I can't wait to see the Sunday games because, like Coach Long was telling me, I was like, oh, they play on Sundays. So I'll get to see a number of Oglethorpe games this year.
I love it, man. And thanks for all that you're doing and highlighting programs like ours. And hopefully we can get you on campus and spend some time with our sports information group, because what you're doing for small college basketball is fantastic. And we need more folks like you to continue to get the word out. And again, appreciate the time and appreciate the connect. And we'll make sure that next time we're at Swanee Sports Academy, we actually cross paths.
Instead of texting, hey, listen.
We were 0 for 2, man. And that cell service ain't great in there. So we gotta make sure
oh
that
my
we
gosh,
just
yes, you hit that on the head. The cell service was not great, but it was one of those things. I knew you were in there recruiting, so I definitely understood. But like I said, I'm going to be a big supporter this year, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing the blacktop that everybody talks about, man.
Yeah. Well, we got some gear waiting for you when you get there, buddy. You just send me the sizes and we'll take care of you. But again, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on, man. And thanks for the connection, and looking forward to continuing to follow the pod. And thanks for all you're doing for small college basketball and small college.
I appreciate it. And definitely, Coach Richey. We'll be talking real soon, man. And again, I'll be seeing you real soon because small cheat code, but we'll talk about it afterwards as well.
All right, my friend. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. You take care. Coach Richey from Oglethorpe University. Listen, when you're going 29-1, you are definitely doing something right, without a doubt. And I can't wait to see what Oglethorpe's women look like this year, even with the newcomers coming in. Coach Richey's doing a really good job there, as well as he's out here in the fields and in the trenches recruiting people and putting live eyes on them. A lot of times you can't just go by, sure, there are some people that say, hey, I got a great kid coming to you, but until you put eyes on them, you can't actually know for sure if they're a fit for your program or not. And I look at this, and again, just like I see Coach Anthony out everywhere on the boys' side, and I advocate for both sides, the boys and the girls. I see Coach Richey out at a number of events as well. And yes, Oglethorpe's a small university, but man, he's trying to win just like everybody else is. And in order to win, you have to put in that work, which he's definitely doing. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. Again, thank everybody that came on tonight. It was a great show as usual. We got an interesting show coming up next week. I have Miss Tiffany Williams that's going to come on, and this would have tied in great for Oglethorpe because she is the financial aid director, and we're going to talk about outside merit money next week. And if it's not next week, because next Monday is Labor Day, so we're still trying to decide if we're going to have a show next week. But if it's not the 5th, it'll definitely be the 12th. We'll make that decision in the upcoming days. But her being able to come onto the show to talk about outside merit money, it's going to make it a lot easier for parents to go to schools like Oglethorpe, Agnes Scott, and a lot of these other prestigious universities. You'll be able to foot the bill if you know what money is out there to apply for. And if you apply for it early, you can go to a Coach Richey and say, hey, Coach Richey, I'm interested in Oglethorpe University, and we're coming to you. We already have $35,000, $40,000 in merit money. Please believe that will open his eyes if you do that, and you can play as well. So again, I definitely want to spread the word not only about D3 and NAI, but also ways to make it easier on programs that don't have a full budget, whether they have a full 10 scholarships or you got to take a partial. You can have this outside merit money, supplement, or you can go to Oglethorpe and you can say, hey, I have enough money to come here for free between academic scholarships and between outside merit money as well. So it's definitely something some more I want to touch on. This is more than just basketball. And even as Coach Richey said, this is more than just 4 years. This is setting you up to be successful on many levels. But that'll do it for tonight. Enjoyed the show. Thank you guys for coming and watching as usual. We'll be on, I won't say next week. We will let you know in about 2 or 3 days if we'll be on for Labor Day. But if not, we will see you on the 12th. You guys take care. I'm David Jones, your host for Hoop and Gems. You guys take care.